Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Till I die, I gotta stay. Till I die, I gotta stay.
And we are back with more Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price, Esquire. Listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Till I die, I gotta stay. Till I die, I gotta stay.
And we are back with more Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price, Esquire. Listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Till I die, I gotta stay. Till I die, I gotta stay.
And we are back with more Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price, Esquire.
Welcome to the Conscious Fever podcast, hosted by Carl Price and Paul Mullins. Coming to you live from Louisville,
listening
Kentucky.
to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. So listen responsibly.
It's the best of the best. It's the one and only DJ Ice, Louisville's coldest DJ.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the show tonight. Welcome to Conscious Fever. Thank you. Welcome to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host. We are here live in Louisville, Kentucky tonight, as always. I hear some feedback. So anyway, we are here just on our regular Thursday night. Here with Paul Mullins tonight. We're going to talk about some things. We got some questions tonight from some people from afar or near. Paul, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is Conscious Fever. Conscious Fever is brought to you by Ice Entertainment Television. And we go live on Conscious Fever Radio as well as right here on these pages that you're watching, the Conscious Fever page. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or X, TikTok, Instagram. Wherever you want, that's where we are. Anyway, I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to dive right into this. I'm going to bring Paul Mullins in, the attorney extraordinaire from Louisville, Kentucky, and then we're going to talk, I should say, Paul, we're going to talk SHIT, but that's
too
not
close to Easter.
I know, it is too close to Easter. Anyway, Carl Price, Conscious Fever. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Time to run it on. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Time to run it on. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me. I'm number one up on that court, I'm Nick McGrady. The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy. Put in my hours, send the invoice and they pay me.
And we are back with more Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price Esquire.
Hey, good evening. Welcome back to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host. I'm not just the only one here. I'm actually here with Paul Mullins tonight. How you doing, Mr. Mullins?
Lawyer, hey Carl, what's going on? Lawyer,
not much, man. The law.
I gotta have a drink. Sorry.
You said what did you say, Paul? You just said something. What did you say?
I'm always saying something, ain't I?
Yeah, you're always talking when somebody else is talking, and you're always interrupting people
doing that. I'm gonna stop
when you do that.
You while you
and
talking.
you shouldn't really interrupt me when I'm talking,
Definitely
because when I talk. A lot of what I say is very, very relevant, very important. You know that, and I know that.
Is that what I know?
You said what?
Is that what I know? It's 9 o'clock at night.
I know. And you're tired as hell.
I am tired. I've been working all day.
Let me just share with y'all before we go to the comments and welcome everybody here. Stephanie, Madeline, Renee, Monique. I've seen them all. Kevin Edwards. But listen, let me tell you why Paul is tired. So we went to this hip-hop restaurant today in downtown Louisville. Y'all know what I'm talking about if you're here from Louisville, or if you're from Louisville.
The Groove.
And he had some baby back ribs. He don't think they were baby back ribs, but he had some ribs. And that's why he's tired. And let me tell y'all, I started to take a video to show y'all, but man, he tore those ribs up. He tore those ribs up. I mean, I'm just saying.
It was good. That's all I got to say. It was good.
Welcome to the show, Paul. I'll give you an opportunity to welcome everybody.
Renee, Kevin, Madeline, everyone, Stephanie, Monique, welcome back. You know, what can I say? There's ribs.
They were what?
Ribs.
You know, I just realized that since I was doing most of the producing tonight, that I forgot to put in a banner. Hey, Conscious Fever family. Hey, Monique. How you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. Hello, Stephanie, and thanks for calling me a king, which I am. Paul is questionable, but if you say he's a king, he is. Oh, you didn't say Paul was a king. You said, hey, Paul.
Why are you picking on me? It's too late at night.
No, I'm not picking on you that
fired
night.
Up. You know, I don't take
much. Hey, Renee,
much.
thanks for joining us.
Don't take much.
Superman Carl. Ooh, let me just get that. Paul Mullins joined us. What?
I was trying to figure out Facebook. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Look at that, Paul.
Batman. That's right. I'm Batman. You Robin.
No, she said Superman. You know, I need to go back and let you see it. Hey, Paul. Or Hee Haw, one or the other. You remember Hee Haw used to come on when we were little, Paul?
I remember that show. I didn't watch it very much.
You don't remember that?
No. Hee Haw was like a country music show, wasn't it?
Good night, guys. How nice. Hey, you gone already, man?
No, that's how she says good afternoon, good evening, good night.
Oh, good night. Okay,
yes.
Yeah, like the English. Why are you slow tonight, Carl? Why do you think I'm slow?
He's getting old. Shit. That's what happens.
Slow? You said shit, Carl. I did.
Oh, that's right.
And
3 days and 2 days before
you called it.
Days.
I don't know why. Let y'all talk among each other. Your phone key going to voicemail. You good over there, darling? Yeah. Why do these women use this as a forum to just talk to each other?
They can call each other.
What is a Chuck Bro?
Chuck Rock. I don't know what that is. Is that an insult? Did Renee just insult me? Chuck Rock. I don't know what Chuck Rock is. Anyway, what we talking about tonight,
Hold on,
Carl?
man. We got to get through the comments. We got to respect those that come. Love the looks. Thank you, Renee. You know, when I get up in the morning, I try. Carl is Superman, baby.
So you gonna hold on to that comment?
Huh? You think I'm gonna hold on to it?
I mean, it's lingering there. I ain't left the screen yet. I think what? There ain't no other comments to look at.
Why do you think I am in control of that, Paul? But anyway, I just realized that there was an Easter banner, because we're gonna wish y'all happy Easter, but there was an Easter banner that we didn't. Yeah, it's like she called you fat, Paul.
Well, she ain't never seen me in person.
Then it's
real.
I wouldn't count on that. If you go out in public, people can see you in person.
That's not true. Y'all know better than that.
But anyway, Paul, we've got something interesting tonight, as we always do. We have some people who have chosen to ask us some questions, and I don't know, man. Are you ready for the first question? Because I have previewed these questions, and I will tell you that
I have not.
Well, I have. I'm gonna tell you, and that and a lot of these questions, Paul, are really probably more for you than they are for me. So
Why is it?
Huh?
Why is it?
Well, it is. It is. I mean, because you do more family court work than than I do.
Thanks. I was worried about this tie.
You were worried about the tie.
Well, you know the color. I didn't know if it would show up on the screen well.
Well, Paul, you asked me earlier, so why don't you ask them if you wore that tie last week? I don't think you did.
Yeah, I was wondering if.
You have to be conscious on what we wear on Thursday. Thank you, Stephanie. T. Renee Gordon.
I know her.
You do?
Hey, it's my cousin.
Oh, hey, Paul's cousin, T. Renee Gordon. How you doing? Thanks for joining us here tonight on Conscious People. Hey, Paul, let's just get right. Let's just get right to the questions, man. I think, and I want you. Maybe this is the first one you can take, and hopefully the sound is loud enough for you guys to hear it. But anyway, as y'all know, we take questions. We take questions from all over when we can. We get the videos and the producer gets the videos together, and we try and we let these people pose these questions. So here's the first question.
All right, I'm ready.
Hi, my name is Gloria, and I have a legal question. I divorced 3 years ago, and my child is 9 years old, and his father is sporadic with his visitation. Why can't I just deny him visitation altogether?
Oh, Paul, why can't? That's a good question. Okay, so he's sporadic with coming around.
All right.
That's what she said. Did she say the child was 3 years old?
9.
9 years old. Oh, 9 years old. That's a sensitive age. That's a sensitive age. So my question to you, Paul, is why can't she? I know she said can she. I'm gonna reformat her question and ask the question. Why can't she just deny him visitation if he doesn't want to come around and be a father to the child? And don't make me I'm just the devil's advocate here, okay?
Not an easy answer to that question, because if they don't have a court order, she can deny him visitation because there's no court order. You only have visitation when there's a court order. Otherwise, the parents are just doing something that you could say they're morally obligated to do. You could say that they're working out an agreement. But if it's not backed by a court order, you can do anything you want to, which also means that the reverse is true. She can let him see the child, and if he decides, I ain't bringing the child back, you can't call the police and say, he's violating a court order because you don't have one. So the first thought is, when you ask me that question, is, do you have a court order? Because if you don't have a court order, if you choose not to do that, you can't be held legally accountable as in a contempt motion, but a judge may not look favorably upon it if you're alien.
Right, Paul?
Hey, it's late. I don't had too much of whatever's in this cup. And if the judge doesn't look favorable on you when it goes back to court, of course you're going to have to explain why you just decided to stop visitation even though you were allowing it before. You're going to have a good reason. And a lot of people come up with good reasons, but from a moral standpoint, I mean, if he's the father of your child and he's showing up sporadically, if it's not creating a situation that's detrimental to the child, then if it's just pissing you off and it ain't pissing the child off, and the child's happy when he sees his dad, whether it's once a month or once every third week or something, and they're happy to see their kid, and you don't think that it's going to disrupt his overall well-being, why would you do that? Even if it's sporadic. Sporadic is certainly better than none. Sporadic is certainly better than a father that he didn't know. But the short answer to the question is, if you don't have a court order, you can do whatever you want. But it goes both ways. If you don't have a court order, then he can do whatever he wants.
So, it looks like there's an interesting question there. Your thoughts on that question?
I didn't see it.
She said,
why would she deny him? That's
why would she deny him?
Right.
But here's my question, Madeline. So, what?
What if he?
I mean, but what if he has effectively abandoned the child?
Well, she didn't say that.
No, but she said why
She
would you
didn't. The
deny
lady's
it?
question didn't say he abandoned the child. The lady's question was if he sporadically sees the child. Now, your definition of sporadic and my definition of sporadic might be two different things. Sporadic could be, well, he's supposed to come every other weekend and sometimes he misses. So instead of seeing the child 26 weekends a year, he saw the child, 18 weekends a year. Sporadic could be he's only seen the child 4 times a year. That's more closer to you're saying he abandoned the child. But all that matters. All that conversation, all of those facts matter to succinctly answering her question. But again, from a legal standpoint,
But what if
you
he
don't
has
have a
abandoned
court-
the child, though?
well, okay, so we're talking
I'm
about
just posing the question. I'm only posing the question. So he doesn't come around. He's probably, in a lot of these.
Sorry.
Paul's
on.
phone is going off.
You know how it
In a
is.
lot of these situations, one parent hates the other parent, and I use the word hate. It's a strong word, but they hate he or she hates the other parent, and the kid ends up being the sufferer, right? So I guess the question I'm posing is that if he has in effect abandoned the child because he hates her, then why not allow her to take charge of the situation and probably, not let him come around and let the boy begin to develop a father figure in another man?
Well, so
I'm just asking.
because when clients come in, I talk to them about things they want to do versus try to think of it from a child's point of view. If you alienate your child from a father, you got to ask yourself, or mother for that instance, you got to ask yourself, why are you doing that? Because if you hate the other parent and you try to alienate the child from another parent, and there's no other reason. Let's say if the child's in danger with going with the father because he, hits on people or he gets into trouble or he steals or, no, I don't mean steals, but like commits crimes or something to that effect where he's a bad person, that's different. But if we're talking about you're alienating because you just don't like him, then you got to ask yourself, why am I doing it? Are you trying to win this child over from the other parent? Because I tell parents, no matter how much you want to win your child over from the other parent, at the end of the day, the child is still growing up knowing, or possibly should know, who his parent is. And kids want to love both parents, and you should never put them in a position to have to choose one parent over the other unless that other parent causes a threat to them. Now, going back to the question of, what should I do? Again, if you got a court order, we ain't even talked about this yet, but if there's a court order, there ain't nothing you can do. You follow the court order. You don't change the order unilaterally unless you go back to court and ask the judge to do it first, because you will suffer consequences if the judge doesn't think you had a valid reason to keep the child away from the other parent, and she thinks your reason is not up to what the law says for her to change it. There'll be repercussions. And that doesn't mean, it could be as bad as going to jail, but I've never seen that. I was going to say rarely, but I've never seen that. But you may have to pay, attorney's fees and money, or you may have that visitation, that loss of visitation imposed on you for a period of time. There's all kinds of other remedies for that, but you don't want to be caught in a position where the reason you thought was valid was not valid. So if you got a court order, don't violate the court order. But if there's no court order, a judge can't hold anybody in contempt. She can look at you with disdain and say, ma'am, I can't believe you did this. And she may rule going forward with a little crooked eye towards you. But there's nothing that can physically stop you from keeping the child from another parent without a court order. So Madeline had a comment, a few up.
Yeah,
that
I
relates
thought-
to this
I
issue
thought-
about why would I?
I thought that was a really good one. Let's look at that at the comments, and this is a real good segue. Why need a court order? Just let him see the child. Why do we even need court orders in these situations?
You don't need a court order. You don't need a court order if the world was perfect. If everybody got along and said we don't need a court order, that's fine. And while someone who has a kid with Madeline may never have a problem, Madeline might have a problem with the person on the other side who doesn't think like Madeline and says, well, we ain't got a court order. I can do whatever I want. And you have a court order because that's the only way you enforce something that you've agreed to, or you enforce something when it comes down to y'all have a disagreement. That's why you need a court order. Even if you agree on everything, you still need a court order because we're lawyers and we talk about what happens in the future. We try to protect people from what could happen. It may never happen. Y'all may never have a disagreement, but we ask for court orders because that protects you in case something goes wrong.
Okay, so look at this, Paul. She says, so Monique says, how do you prove abandonment? And I think that's a loaded question.
Right.
But listen, even before that, and this is probably why I'm glad, this is JoJo. Thanks for joining us, JoJo. Said this is so informative. Glad you are sharing this information.
Right.
Yeah. And how do you prove abandonment, Paul?
I mean, abandonment is defined in the statute as 90 days without contact. Doesn't sound like a long time. 90 days. Is it 90 days or 6 months? I'm pretty sure it's 90 days. But it's defined in the termination of rights statute what abandonment is. I should know that. I just don't know it off the top of my head, but I know where to find it in the statute. It's either 90 or 6 months.
Okay, take a listen to this one. Take a look at this one. What if the child loves his father, seems it's selfishness on her part, she seems disgrown?
Yeah, we talked about that, and it's like if you decide to unilaterally stop another parent from seeing the child, first of all, if you got a court order, don't do it. I've said that repeatedly. If you don't have a court order, I'm literally telling you that it goes both ways, okay? You can have a parent who is a male who doesn't have a court order and decides, I'm going to keep the child from the mom, and the police can't come and do nothing, the judge can't hold him in contempt, but the judge will look at that parent and say, why'd you do that? And then maybe if you're in court later, she may rule against you on some things that probably needed, they could go either way. She'll remember that you acted in bad faith when you had an opportunity to, if you didn't have a valid reason. Now, there are valid reasons to keep a parent. We can all think of valid reasons to say, oh no, you're not seeing my child. Even if there's a court order, right? What's a good one, Carl? This is too easy to think of ones where you might not let a child see his parent despite a court order. I'll take that risk, okay? Classic example, child's at the house, parent and the parent's boyfriend or girlfriend get into a heated argument, there's gunfire, the police are called, children are scared to death. Who wouldn't take their child and say, you ain't getting them back until we go to court? Who wouldn't do that, right? Despite a court order. So there are valid reasons where it comes down to you protecting the child from immediate harm. Not harm from, hey, well, I picked him up today because 6 months ago I don't like what you did. That's not the same. But if there's immediate harm or threat, you go get the child, you don't return him, and then you immediately file a court order so you don't look like you're just a bad person.
How about that?
The courts are female-friendly judges that yield toward their demands. Okay, so I ain't gonna sit here and rip on no judge tonight. Not
because
a single one. Not a single one. Well, I'm still a practicing lawyer in family court. So, okay, Alvin, I see what you're saying.
All right, we've got another question, Paul, and I want. I don't know. I mean, I'll take the lead and answer any question.
Alvin has another question right there.
It says, why can't the child go with the father instead of being supervised?
Well, I don't understand. The lady's original question didn't say anything about supervised that I can recall.
No, she didn't, Paul. But I think it leads to those types of discussions. Whether supervision is an alternative as opposed to just denying the father altogether.
So again,
hold on. Always good to have a good attorney. Great information. Call Paul.
So listen, Alvin. Back to your question about the supervision in Kentucky. We know this, but we don't practice this. In Kentucky, when a child is born, there is a presumption that joint custody and a equal schedule should be what each parent is entitled to. That's the presumption. Meaning that when you go into court, if you go into court, the judge should start with, I have two parents, they both deserve equal access. And that doesn't mean week on, week off. It doesn't mean any particular schedule. They should both have equal access to the child. That's the presumption. There are attacks on that presumption, like this parent is maybe unfit. It's not in the child's best interest based on the circumstances of the parties. You got one party who lives in Louisville. You got one party who lives in Lexington. That's the presumption. That's your starting point. So when you say that I am a father and I go to my baby mama and she says she won't give me visitation or custody and she only has to supervise it, my response is immediately go to court. Immediately get a custody action or some type of action. File it in court. You're not gonna. There's no sense in you wasting time trying to negotiate with somebody who doesn't believe you're on equal standing when the law says you are. So just go to court.
Interesting. Good answers, Paul. I didn't think you had it in you. But
Oh, wow.
That's
what I do.
I know, but I do refer all my family court phone calls to you. Here's the next question. Check this out.
My name is Bennett, and my question is about my son's mother. The child is now 7 years old. I had a DNA test done without her knowing and discovered that the child is not mine. How should I approach her to tell her that she and her child have to get out of my house?
You gotta go. How do I approach her and tell her? First of all,
Paul, let me just ask this question. Is that appropriate for him to say? I mean, he's asking us a question, but he's already determined. I've already decided that they have to go. So how should I approach and say that they have to go, as opposed to saying, hey, guys, what do you think? Should I put her out? Should I stay and be a father to this child after all of these years? Interesting question.
First of all, grab
Mr. Family Court Lawyer.
First of all, grab your iPhone and turn the recorder on, because it's going to be some trouble. And you're going to have some proof that you didn't do nothing. Make sure somebody don't say you did something to them to put them out. So, I mean, honestly, when you have a situation like that where you are having to confront somebody with information that is displeasing or is going to make it uncomfortable, my advice is always to just rip the Band-Aid off and have the conversation. Certainly, the first thing people would do if that happened to them was their head would explode. You know, I watched a video on YouTube where a guy had found out that, you know, he had 4 kids with this lady and none of the 4 were his. And I was like, how does that happen? So first of all, your head would explode. And then you got to control your emotion and your anger so you don't go in there and do something stupid. But I would have the conversation, turn my phone on so that somebody doesn't say I did something. Because anytime you try to kick somebody out of your house, they're going to resist. And so you might have to go get an eviction, which is what the legal process is. But if you have a heated argument, somebody might decide to leave voluntarily. But you certainly don't want to make it volatile, because if you expose anyone, man or woman, in a lie and you confront them with it, the first thing they're going to do is deny it, and then they're going to get angry. And they're not going to get angry because you're confronting them. Most of the time people get angry because they're like, how'd you know? How'd you find out? You know, that's what, if you think about this realistically, whenever you confront somebody with a lie, they first deny it and then they get angry. And if you find the source of that anger, 9 times out of 10, the source of that anger is because they can't figure out, or they're wondering how you found out. So you don't really want that volatile situation, especially if the child is there. You don't want to have a big fight with somebody with a child there. So my advice would be to pull out your phone, record what's going to happen so that nobody tries to say you did something crazy. Control your emotions, control your temper, have the conversation, and just politely say, if that's your house, by the way, he didn't say whether it was his house or their house or they owned it together. But if it's his property and he owns it, politely say, you know, we're going to have to come together and reach a resolution to where you got to get all your stuff out. And people have broke up before without court intervention, without police being called or anything crazy like that. So it can be done, but realize that when you approach somebody, confront them with a lie, it's usually going to cause anger on their part, right? I mean, that's where we are. So, I mean, that's the easiest way to answer his question. Get your phone out, approach her, and be straight up front. Tell her what you know, and you know, watch out for pots and pans.
So you think that she's just, wow, you said get out the phone.
Get out your phone. Yes, I tell all my clients, if you're going to go into a volatile situation, pull out your phone and record it so somebody don't say you did something crazy. Right? Tell them all the time. Pull out your phone, record it, make sure they don't say you did something crazy.
Yeah, interesting, Paul. Very interesting, man.
What's Monique's comment? I see her commenting.
So you got comments. You want Monique? Boy, have that conversation in public with witnesses and bring the
You
receipts of the DNA
you don't
result.
have to have the conversation in public, because I think if you have it in public, it's my opinion, Monique, you might be right, but you don't have to have the conversation in public because it can make the situation more volatile. Because remember, when you are exposing somebody to a lie, and the only reason I'm saying it's a lie is because somebody would have to lie to somebody for him to believe that the child was his and it wasn't. So when you're exposing a lie, you're already going to create a situation where somebody's going to be angry. All right. So if somebody's angry, you don't want to do that out in public. I mean, it doesn't have to be done out in public. You can have a polite conversation. Just turn your phone on. That's your witness.
Huh.
Okay. Problem here, gentlemen. I apologize. Okay. Do you get that?
The anger. Here's Monique. The anger is going to tear up the house and destroy anything in their path.
That's why you got that phone on.
So you think that one of the options is just to video, basically just to get evidence, is what you're saying, Paul.
It's
right?
not evidence, Carl. I'm just saying if I'm approaching my lady who I thought was faithful to me, and she tells me that, and I find out, I think he said I find out, she didn't tell me. I find out that it's not my kid. I can have a conversation at the house. I can have it at a police station. I can have it at a courthouse. I can have it at a public library. I can have it at McDonald's. It's going to be the same situation. She's going to be angry because I found something out that she's been carrying as a secret. Think about this. If you harboring a lie and somebody exposes you, some people might be like, all right, well, you found out. That's good. That would be great. A lot of people get angry. Maybe she won't get angry, but you got to know your lady. So if you think your lady going to get angry, first of all, he's angry, right?
Oh, he's obviously angry
and I don't know if that was a made-up situation for him, but you got to control your emotions.
I mean, but wouldn't you be, Paul? I mean, would you be Paul? I'm sorry, no, you should be Paul.
No, of course
would you
you'd
be
angry.
angry, Paul, if you have taken care of a child for about 8 years?
I mean, if he said the child was 9 years old,
the child
first
is
of all,
9 years old.
That would bring tears to my eyes, and I don't know how I would approach it. So I'm giving advice that I don't really know how I would react. Okay, so
I mean, but would you have an ounce of anger, just a small ounce of anger?
I have more than an ounce. I probably have a kilo of anger, and I know that's a metric system, but I'd have a ton of anger. But you got to control that anger, because if I walk into a room with anger, I might do some stuff that I might see myself on the news like, damn, I didn't think I was capable of doing that. So yes, you got to control your anger.
I don't know how.
Your anger.
I don't know how you
control your anger.
How you control your anger?
You can.
And everything when you have been lied to for 9 years.
Right, but you can control your anger for that moment, not to go punch somebody out. You've been mad at people and you ain't punched them out before in your entire life, right? So you can control that for that moment, and then when that person's out of your life, you express your anger. But
yeah, Monique, that's what I was asking him. Not a kilo of anger that you wouldn't have?
No. I said a kilo. She's laughing because I said a kilo.
Yeah.
You said an ounce. I said a kilo.
Yeah. No, I mean, but so I it's hard, because the real crossroad here is the connection, right, that you have made with this child. Now you know that it's not yours. Do you then abandon all of that connection?
So I'm gonna tell
you, say, I can't be a father to another man's child.
So I'm gonna have this. This is a real story, y'all. A real story. I had a client, not a client, but a person come into my office, and they told me that their daughter was 22 years old, and that their daughter and her mother got into a heated argument, and her mother in the argument said, "Your daddy's not your daddy." Okay? And when she said that, she went back to her father and said that, and they had a DNA test, and in fact, at 22 years old, he found out that this child was not his child. Not only was this child not his child, but the father, the actual father, was her stepfather, which meant that this lady knew the entire time while she chased him around for child support. He said he spent time in jail for it. And so he came into my office, and I had a conversation with him. And I said, we got two routes. We can go after the baby mama for fraud and try to recover your child support. I said, that's not going to that's not going to do anything with your relationship with your daughter. I said, or you can have a conversation with your daughter and you can see if she wants you to continue being her father. He never came back to the office. Because that was your only two options.
I mean, very, very interesting discussion. I guess I'm old enough. I'll never be in this situation, and I have control of that.
I really wanted to take the case too. I really wanted to sue for fraud, but he didn't come back. He let it slide. He said him and his daughter worked it out. It's all good. And that was like maybe 10 years ago.
Well, I would tell you, I had a case about, what is this, 25 now? I had a case probably about 20 years ago. About 20 years ago, Paul, and you would never believe what it was. I think we've had this conversation before. Young man he was in law enforcement, and he was accused of being the father of a child while he went off to the Middle East. Was that the war in the 80s? Afghanistan?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, he goes off, and then, when he comes back, or 90s or whenever it was, early 2000s.
90s, right.
Anyway, she's pregnant. She says it's your child. The child looked different than the other child they had together. And he discovered that he was not the father of this child. And this child was about 8 or 9 years old. He sued for fraud, and we got a good judgment from her. I mean, we sued her for lying.
That's the only remedy. That's the only remedy because... Look, y'all gonna slam me, y'all gonna make me sound sexist or anything, but a good woman should know who the father of her child is, right?
Whoa.
I mean, am I wrong?
Whoa.
If my daughter came to me and said she didn't know who the father of her child was, I would accuse her of not being a good woman. I'm sorry, y'all. Call me whatever you want. I just think it's Paul. You can call it old fashioned, you can call it whatever, but it's
you are opening up a lot of can of worms, man.
If you don't know who the father of your child is, you don't.
I mean, there are circumstances when women don't know, and I'm not.
That's not what I said. I didn't say you weren't a woman. I just said a good woman knows who the father of her child is.
I understand what you're saying, but you're implying. I'm not gonna go there.
You know what I'm implying, but I'm just saying it's right.
But
it's true.
I don't know, Paul.
How did
I get the camera?
I'm being judgmental. I'm sorry. I'm being judgmental. But these are the realities of life. Okay? It's the reality of life. And I mean, it's the reality of life. I'm sorry. I know I'm insulting people, but I'm not insulting people. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying a good woman knows who the father of her child is. Is that wrong to say?
No, I mean, I think that you clarified it by saying that a good woman, but I'm just saying that the woman who is raped doesn't know.
Okay, man, come on now. That's sex. Come on, that's different.
Willingly should know who her child's father is. I agree, but okay, so you're saying. So that's unfair for me to say?
Just unfair for you to say rape. That's different.
Okay.
Even the girl who's raped knows who her father of her child is, though.
Okay. Good. Okay, Paul. We have everybody's agreeing with you, Paul. I mean,
good. Maybe I'm not a sexist then.
The sexist as you made yourself sound by actually saying that. Anyway, got another question here, Paul.
All right.
I want you to take this one as well. I think this one is for you. Check this question out, y'all.
Paul, this question is for you. The girl that broke your heart 20 years ago has now moved into your neighborhood. She is drop dead gorgeous and single with no kids. She wants to make amends. Will you give her a second chance?
Hell no. No.
What?
Hell no. No.
Wait a minute. Oh.
I don't go back.
Oh, my God.
Too many times.
Paul, she's moved into your neighborhood.
That means she's chasing me.
She is drop dead gorgeous.
Well, why wasn't she drop dead gorgeous 20 years ago? That's a stupid question. I like the girl who asked it. What's the girl's name?
I don't know. Maybe she's the one. Maybe she's asking for herself, Paul.
She's a little young.
That's why they had Jerry Springer. I agree with Paul. Okay, Jenny, I hear you. So Paul, you don't cheat on me. Are you that woman? Right. That's what we were asking, Alvin. Is she the woman? Paul, now you go home tonight.
Paul is trained.
If you go home tonight, you know, she might be there just waiting for you. Paul, you remember me?
Paul's
What would you do?
Who's Angela? Oh,
Paul
Angela
is
Coles.
on the
Okay,
roll.
Angela Coles. She likes me tonight. Okay, well, that little comment I thought was risque, but I guess the women agree. Great.
I guess, yeah, Pastor. I mean, not Pastor, but Reverend Coles. Would you do it, Carl? Would I go back?
No.
I'm a Gemini. Once I'm done, I'm done.
I mean, we all say that, but everybody goes back for a little drop.
No, I don't.
I won't think I saw. 20 years is a long time, y'all.
I don't know if I would go back. But I really.
Gosh, hold on. I did. I actually did. I dated a girl in college.
Oh my God.
And then I saw her at a Daryl Griffith party when I was in my 30s. But we didn't.
Go ahead, spill the tea, Paul.
No, it was just.
I mean, matching up with somebody that you haven't seen in 20 years is not just about having sex. That's all I'm saying.
My general answer is no.
Your general answer is no. Well, I mean,
Not anymore.
Do you still have that tape over there? Do you still have the tape?
Huh?
I mean, because hold on, let me see if they can roll that back. Let's see.
Paul,
Don't do it.
this question is for you. The girl that
She's
broke your
gorgeous.
heart 20 years ago has now moved into your neighborhood.
She's full.
She is drop dead gorgeous and single with no kids. She wants to make amends.
So, Paul, my question to you is, hold on. Does she look familiar? Does she look familiar from your days at the University of Kentucky?
No, that's the 20 years later, and she ain't got no kids. Something wrong with her. I don't know if that's wrong to say.
No,
But
that's not wrong to say, Paul. You are on a roll tonight, and it is
That's
Easter.
wrong to say. But no, that's a made-up question. That don't happen. That don't happen.
Paul.
20 years later, I got 2 kids. Now what? She's waited 20 years for me or something? That's
Paul,
stupid.
I've asked you a question.
I ain't believing that.
I've asked you a question.
No.
Does what's the Kennedy? What's her name? Do you remember a Kennedy from college?
No, don't know.
Does that
I
girl
don't know
look
no
familiar?
Kennedys now. No, I don't know no Kennedys now. Right. All right. What's the next one? Do you have any more?
Yeah, there's one more, but I think he's a little what you call it? Let's listen to what I mean. I don't know.
My name is Andrew, and my question is a tough one. My mother is approaching 80 years old and no longer independent. I hate to see her go to a nursing home, but my work schedule and family commitments make it tough for me to spend the time she needs. What are my options here? Help me out.
That was kind of
That's a probate question for you.
That brought a somber mood, right?
Hey, it's Easter, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Let anybody through. Y'all got any questions? Y'all can ask us questions.
No. You don't want to answer that question. No. You don't want to deal. Why is it? Wait, okay, so it sort of changed the mood. So what he's asking is, Paul. He's asking a question that a lot of people in their 40s, in their 50s, find themselves couched in, and it is a situation where mom is getting up in age, and you're busy as her son, or all of her children are busy, and they don't have time for mom. And the question is, now he's faced with this question. He's faced with this question of what do you do? And this says, Monique, home help would definitely be an option. Yeah, I mean, something like that. I'm scared of being cheated on, Stephanie. Okay, y'all, or something that if you have siblings, share the responsibility of caring
For a mother. That's the best answer.
For a mother. So yeah, I mean, but I'm interested to know how many people have actually found themselves in that situation, because nobody knows what tomorrow may bring, right? And when I talk about tomorrow, I'm not talking about the next day. I'm talking about 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. So when we were in our 20s, none of us never thought that we would be couched in a situation where mom is deteriorating. She needs probably a lot of care. Monique, what if she doesn't have the money for home health care? I guess the real question that I think he's posing to us is one of sacrifice. And I think that's the real question, Paul.
Well, we just kind of went through that with my aunt. I didn't know that question was coming, but we kind of had that situation with my aunt who died recently.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It took my brothers and sisters and my cousins you know. But this is Easter weekend. Something more upbeat.
Alvin, the responsibility is hardly ever divided
between the siblings.
Let's see, hardly ever divided between the siblings. Mainly one sibling taking on the burden. Yeah, I mean, I agree, Monique, and I'm glad you pointed that out because you don't know how your siblings are going to react when that circumstance hit, and some behave in different ways.
Right.
So the real question I think he's asking, Paul, is, you know, should he be selfish or should he?
Never be selfish. Never be selfish. Never be selfish because you're going to go through the same thing when you get older. Never be selfish.
I mean, I get that, Paul. But what I'm saying to you, I'm glad that you are rolling off the question like it's an easy answer.
Well, everybody's got to step up.
But you know, at the end of the day, man, you know, everybody has to step up. But that's easy to say because everybody doesn't step up. So there's going to be
you
one
got to put
sibling.
pressure on the people who ain't stepping up.
I understand, but what does that mean? Because you have one sibling. Let me see. The husband and wife can speak to one another and see if they can accommodate the mother. Yeah, you know, I think the real question is, you know, do you do like 38% of the people in this country and say, I'm just going to check her in a nursing home? Or do you say, okay, I'm going to cut back my hours if I can? You know, maybe he has kids in college or something like that. Maybe they need to continue to work full time, and maybe they cannot afford the home health. But, you know, the home health is okay, but to me the home health is just like sending them to a nursing home, but just not as bad, because sometimes you get home health people that are really personable people and really, really good at this stuff that they do. But it's just like sending a child to the daycare or sending it to grandma's house to take care of. You can do it better than any stranger. So, I mean, I will tell you that if I'm in that situation, I'm going to find a way to sacrifice. I mean, it seems like I work 20 hours a day anyway. I can just work 8 hours a day, you know, and free up 12 hours to spend with my mom. I mean, I think that's what I would do, Paul.
I mean, it's hard. Like I said, we just went through it, and you don't want somebody to go to a nursing home, but it gets to a point to where you may not have a choice. I mean, there's some things you can't get done at home, or some kind of, you know, there can be care that can't get done.
Everyone doesn't step up, Paul. Most of the siblings will disappear until the parent dies. Yeah.
Well,
then they want something from the probate estate.
Right. And I see that happening in probate. I don't understand probate and why people act as crazy as they do over there once a parent dies. I really can't understand it. I wouldn't think that anybody in my immediate family would act that way. I just can't see it happening. But I know that it happens, and when you have a situation where somebody is in need of nursing home care,
okay, so
I mean,
Paul,
there are people who have the brunt of it.
Hold on, I'm gonna interrupt you a second.
Go ahead.
Look at what Stephanie says. Stephanie says this is boring.
Okay, Stephanie.
So Stephanie, here's the question. Now let's just focus our attention on Stephanie now.
Okay.
This is all about Stephanie
She got
now.
it.
Stephanie, so you come on this show just to talk about sex? I mean, I'm just trying to figure this out.
Where did you get that from?
Because she said something else about the sex thing and all of that. So I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out.
I didn't see that.
No.
If you saw it, that's fine, but I didn't see it.
I'm just trying to figure out. If this is boring, what do you want to talk about, Stephanie? Tell us what you want to talk about.
All right, so the next comment.
Because maybe you can answer that question.
Well, I think this is something that
everyone doesn't step up, Paula.
We as a people, we don't talk about this stuff enough.
Oh, wait a minute. Renee my home health agency will allow the caregiver to go to the home and provide care. Yeah, I get that, Renee, but I guess the point I'm making is that I would tell you that if I had to make the choice. And I'm a trial lawyer, and if I'm in trial, I may have to, back. But if I had to make the choice for somebody else being there, I don't care how good and wonderful the agency is, as opposed to me or somebody that, was raised in my mother's household and raised by my mother. I would prefer somebody that she's familiar with.
All right, let me just say this again. I recently just went through this entire experience with our family for an aunt, and I don't want to put too much of our business out there, but to a certain extent, yes, the brunt and burden was on one person. Other people did help out, but not as much as the one person who bore the brunt of that. The person was an in-home caregiver, and it got to a point to where the in-home caregiver can't do the in-home care for the person who is in needing of that care, and
Hey, Scotty,
the aunt
do what?
was in the hospital more days than she wasn't. And I'm saying, I used to be of the belief you can never put somebody in a nursing home, but then when you see it with your own eyes, y'all, all this stuff happens on a case-by-case basis. We really can't blanketly say yes or no to in-home health care versus a nursing home. It's a case-by-case basis.
I agree with Scotty Duwop. Maybe in this situation, people need to family up.
And you try to do that,
You know,
but I'm just
cherish
saying,
the moment.
y'all got to understand that all this is a case-by-case basis. The fortunate thing for us is we all live in the same city. We all live close to each other. What if one of your siblings lives in Texas? What if one of your siblings lives in Minnesota? And you only got one person in the town. I mean, we are all blanketly saying this is what should happen because as Americans, we generally think about nothing. We don't care about stuff unless it affects us personally. But I'm telling you that I've seen enough in probate court. I don't do probate court. Carl does. It's a circus over here. But we can't blanketly judge and say this is the way it has to go because you want people to step up, but sometimes people either won't do it, can't do it, or unable to do it, and that has to be factored in. There is no magic answer. There's no magic pill. In an ideal world, just like we talk with family court, parents should get along. In an ideal world, the whole family should step up and do it. But it's not always possible, and I just want to recognize that. And if somebody deliberately says, "Screw her, she's my family, and I ain't helping," that's one thing.
Yeah, but I think.
But you got to give deference to what people can and can't do.
Yeah, but I think the point that what's his name, Andrew. What I got from what he was saying is that I'm between a rock and a hard place, and you shouldn't be between a rock and a hard place. In my opinion, I'm going to sacrifice. So if his question is really, should I sacrifice? I would say that you could sacrifice. But I like Scotty Duwop's
again, as long as let me say this real quick.
Hold on. But a mixture of professional and family, I think, would be great.
Well, again, as someone who just personally experienced this with their family, you've got to understand that when you say sacrifice, what does that mean to you versus what does that mean to somebody else? In other words, Carl, you would sacrifice probably anything for your mom, but for your brother, would you stop working for a week or 2 months or 3 months to take care of him?
I may. It just depends.
You said you may. But I'm saying as a blanket rule, you can't say that.
No, I say may, Paul, only because, I'm not.
Exactly.
Hold on. Yeah, it is. This is not a right or wrong answer, but I'm just saying that, I'm lucky. I've got 15 siblings. Well, I got 14 now. When I say it depends on who else is going to step up. Is that how you want to be treated when you get old, weak, and sick, right?
Nobody wants to be mistreated when they're old, weak, and sick. The question becomes, and this relevancy is whether or not you're going to put somebody in a nursing home or not. I think, honestly, that every single person on this chat, at least, would say they don't want to see their loved ones go to a nursing home. They don't want to see that. Nobody, I think legitimately, nobody ever wants to see that. But then reality set in. Taking care of somebody who can feed and clothe themselves is different from somebody who can't feed and clothe themselves. Taking care of somebody who has a sickness is different from taking care of somebody who has Alzheimer's. Taking care of somebody who is weak and frail is different from taking care of somebody who has stage 4 cancer. These are all the ranges of possibilities that when you blanketly answer that question, you're not thinking about.
Yeah, but she said nursing homes are horrible.
They are.
Yeah.
And nobody wants their loved one to go to a nursing home. That's why some nursing homes are better than others.
Yeah, so here's my thing on this topic. My thing on this topic is very simple. It really is very simple, Paul. It's that do you trade in? Do you trade in or do you, how can I ask this question? Do you offer up your selfishness in exchange for loving the opportunity to care for somebody who has cared for you for the rest for most of your life?
Okay,
I mean, that's the way I see
so
it.
that's a loaded question because, again, I'm going to keep saying this 100 times till I'm blue in the face. It's a case-by-case situation, right? It's a case-by-case situation. And if you've got a loved one who needs to be in a hospital with 24-hour care that you can't provide and only doctors and professionals can provide.
Yeah, but that's different, Paul. If you acknowledge that you've got somebody that you cannot care for, then I don't care how much you love that person, you should not be sitting in the living room and
that's
trying
all I'm
to nurse
saying.
them.
That's all
and
I'm
so
saying.
and I think that's understandable.
That's all I'm saying. It's a case-by-case situation based on the need of what that person needs and what you can provide. If I have a person that I can
with a tracheostomy, okay, you're using big words now, Monique. On a ventilator,
dementia is a
it's
big
not the
word.
same. No, that you see that
tracheotomy. That's the throat, right?
You're right. No. I don't want anybody to be misunderstood. I'm not going to place myself just because of the love that I have for that person in a situation where I'm not qualified to handle. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that if it's a situation where you need to get them fed, where you need, where maybe need some bathing. Or something like that. But if it's just a situation where somebody just needs to be around and nothing really extra, that requires a lot of professional skill and know-how, that's what I'm saying. I think that if it's a situation, and I think that when you look at Andrew, when you listen to Andrew's comment, the whole point is that his crossroad is, should I sacrifice or should I not sacrifice? And that's the way I heard it. And my response is that I'm going to always sacrifice.
I've known
could have made care providers lazy in the healthcare system.
I've known of a family member in their 90s who were in a health home, an adult care facility, and they were much better off in the adult care facility after we tried to have in-home, after we tried to have stay-at-home family. Once they got put into a adult care facility, they were better off. And I'm just saying, it's easy for people to say, this is what I would do, until you're actually faced with the situation. What I just realized is our family's been faced with this situation twice.
Right.
And we're not loveless, selfish people. But we've been faced with that situation twice.
Right. Okay. Here we go. Paul, the hour is pushing us. We got about a few. Let me see how many minutes we got. It's 57 minutes, so we got like 2.5 minutes. So we need to get out of here, man. Good show tonight, man. Good topics.
Topics that people really need to discuss. I don't know if this was a nighttime topic. Maybe I'm with Stephanie. Maybe not the sex topics. That we ain't that kind of show every night. But these are topics that people actually need to discuss. Like if you got a parent or a grandparent or somebody that's aging, people need to really get together and discuss it before that person actually needs that extra care. So if you got a parent who's, and I got to be careful what age I call out because I got some older people on family. So I'm going to say 85, okay, in your family who's not in a nursing home. People need to start talking about, and with that person while they're still in a good mind, about how they're going to deal with them when they're 90 and 95. I mean, you just got to have the conversation. Otherwise, what happens is that person has an incident. They slip and fall, and they suddenly need nursing care and all that. And now it's stuck on everybody all at once. And, of course, if you flash somebody with an emergency need, then people start getting like, oh, I can't do it, because they're dealing with the shock of having to immediately do it and the shock of this person needs it, and it's all at once. So they can't handle it. They didn't plan for it.
Interesting. Well, Paul, this is Easter weekend, and I want to be the first to wish everybody a wonderful Easter. Depending on what culture you're from, you're probably going to, well, most cultures are like this. They eat very well on Easter, right, Paul?
Most cultures eat well on Easter. I
mean, everybody has an Eater dinner, just like a Christmas dinner, from what I understand. Anyway, but in my household,
even in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, are you cooking for Easter?
No, even in Saudi, my mother is. Even in Saudi Arabia, do they celebrate Easter in Saudi Arabia?
When I said everybody.
Afghanistan, they celebrate Easter. I'm sure they don't.
Saying.
Pakistan, they don't celebrate Easter. Maybe little.
I mean, I just got that alert about the guy in New Albany shooting his brother. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Man, that's something. Tough love is hard when they are gone. I agree. Eggs are $20.
Are you serious?
Tell him what Trump said today, Paul. Tell him what Trump said today.
What did he say?
Remember he said the groceries are going down.
Trump says the groceries are going down. We read that earlier today on the little what is that thing when you load up your you load up the internet? What's that page called? Bing or something?
Well, we asked one of the AI agents about how many times Trump has lied. It's 30,753 times since, and plus, because there were some other times that he has done it this year, since 2021. And so, so yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of breath, you know. But he's lied that much time.
Those are 30,000 lies he said on camera.
And so we would add one today because he said he apparently gave an interview and said the grocery prices are going down. And
$20 a dozen
for everybody who is shopping.
Alvin, where'd you see $20? $20 for a dozen, or maybe that's 24, 36. Eggs are $5 a piece though. No, they're not. They're $5 a dozen. They're $5 a dozen.
No, they're more than $5 a dozen.
I just bought some 2 days ago. Where y'all shopping at?
Okay, so you want to get into the pagan holiday? That's a whole different discussion, Alvin, for another day. I would tell you because we can talk about the pagan holidays and all of that.
No, are eggs really $20 a dozen? I think he's just been hyperbolic.
I think somewhere they are.
They're not $20 a dozen. Look, maybe they are. I just don't think so.
You know, you can go to a pet store and buy chickens now.
What?
For less than what you can get a dozen eggs from.
That's because nobody wants a pet chicken. Do they?
Nobody wants a what?
A pet chicken. Who wants a pet chicken?
Paul, when eggs are $20 a dozen, they're not.
They're not $20 a dozen. They're not.
They're not. But when
smarter than that.
Yeah, but let's just take Alvin's and go and run with it.
All right, his hyperbolic statement. Okay.
$20. If eggs are $20 a dozen, people are not buying chickens for pets. Okay. I mean, I just don't want you to lose focus.
I didn't think forward.
Okay. Anyway, Paul, wish everybody a
Happy Easter from Paul and Carl and the Conscious Fever family.
Awesome.
That is us saying Happy Easter from Paul and Carl and the Conscious Fever family. Let me see, what is this, Scotty? Eggs are cheaper at Dollar General.
You ever look, I ain't down in Dollar General.
I've never purchased
I've just never purchased eggs at Dollar General, y'all.
I never have.
Can't do it. This is why I tell my kids. I used to tell my kids this.
Hold on, Scotty. Have you gotten eggs from Dollar General?
Yeah. Are you saying you bought eggs at Dollar General? Or you just was there and you saw them?
Put them in the skillet and they start get up and say, "Why you put me down here?" Dollar General eggs. I didn't even know they sell dairy stuff.
They sell food at Dollar General. They have a refrigerator section. Okay. But
Happy Easter, Miss Gordon.
I wouldn't just buying eggs at Dollar General. I wouldn't go in that store to buy eggs, first of all. So I don't think I'd buy eggs at Dollar General. But I mean, an egg is an egg. Does it really matter? You know, to not be elitist, if a chicken laid an egg, what difference does it make what store it's in? Right? I mean, look, I'm just saying it. If the chicken laid the egg, what difference does it make what store it's in?
Scotty said he's seen it.
I still ain't buying eggs from Dollar General. I said all that, but I still ain't buying eggs from Dollar General.
Good night, Monique. He said they have eggs at Dollar Store.
Or is that a question? Is that a question or is that his statement? You didn't put no punctuation behind your sentence, Alvin. I don't know. Eggs at the Dollar General. Am I wrong for saying that? I don't want to be elitist, y'all. I don't want to be yes, they do have a refrigerator there. I've seen it, but I don't know. Am I being elitist? I bought food from Dollar General when I was in there and I got snack food, but
I'm just saying, man, that
I don't want to be elitist, y'all. Is it normal for people to buy eggs? I guess it is. It's a convenience store.
I guess.
I mean, I bought them from the gas station, I'm sure, in my lifetime.
Hosted by Carl Price.
Well, again, though.
Coming to you live from Louisville.
You like that voice?
I don't know. Anyway, this has been Conscious Fever here on ICE Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host. That is Paul Mullins. We have had a wonderful time tonight, Paul. Don't you agree?
I just got this look on my face. I know the camera was on me. I'm still trying to contemplate buying eggs at Dollar General, y'all.
It's a convenience store.
Right.
Hold on. It says if you're trying to save some money on eggs, go to Dollar General.
Can we talk about that real quick? Because
Happy Easter, Teresa.
I gotta say this because
good night, Renee.
I say this to my kids all the time. You know, there are some people in this world who will look at a jug of milk and say it expired on the 17th. Today's the 18th. I'm gonna drink it. They'll look at some kind of package of food and say,
"Thank you, Monique.
It expired a couple days ago, but I'm gonna eat it." I've always told my kids, and I believe this. Y'all can call me Liz. I don't eat stuff. I try not to if I know about it. I don't eat stuff that's a day past expiration. Period. You can tell me that the expiration date is just a suggestion. I don't eat stuff the day past the expiration, as far as unless I get tricked. And I tell my kids that. I say, they don't protect our food like they used to, in my opinion. I don't, they're handling the FDA, all that. Food's not protected like it used to be. You can't trust all the food. I'm not going to Dollar General to buy eggs. If I have to pay 10 cents, 20 cents, $1 more for some eggs from Kroger, I expect Kroger to have the best eggs.
Give them your number, Paul. They want a number to saying guests can call in and draft a question to discuss.
Well, just email it.
Greg agrees with you.
Yeah, you just can't. Food, I used to say food is cheap, but a doctor's bill's higher. So you go out and buy some cheap food and you eat it and you get sick, your doctor bill's higher. So be careful what you buy and what you eat.
Be safe. Get your eggs from the grocery store.
Right. Bingo.
It makes sense. Just watch the day. Right. Y'all are killing me tonight. Anyway, I'm Carl Price. That's Paul Mullins. This has been Conscious Fever tonight.
Coming to you live from Louisville, Conscious Fever with attorneys Paul Mullins and Carl Price.
Anyway, I don't know how we can get that off of my face. There we go. Listen, I'm Carl Price. This has been Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. We will see you next week. Happy Easter, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Conscious Fever podcast. We will see you next week.
When you need the best sound, when you want the best songs, tune in. We're here for you. The best radio in town all day long.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time, but I know change gonna come. Oh yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh yes it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking me back down on the knees. There've been times that I thought I
carry on. And it's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is, yes it is, yes it is. Said I know that a change is gonna come one day. I know a change gonna come. Yes it is. I know. Said life can be hard. Oh yeah. And times can get rough, but still